Well, it is a whirlwind time in the world of recruiting right now, and that's part of the reason that this interview comes to you from the road. But the Sooners stay hot on the recruiting trail. One day after picking up a commitment from four-star offensive lineman Caden Green, Bill Bedenbaugh doubles down. This time he picks up three-star offensive lineman Logan Howland out of Princeton, New Jersey. And Logan joins us now to break down the decision. Now, Logan, first things first here. The first question is always the most important for you. Why Oklahoma? Why did this fit make sense?
I think Coach Bedenbaugh is one of the best, if not the best, offensive line coach in the country, and he does a fantastic job with his guys when they're there. Then, when they're in the NFL, they flourish and they do such a great job. And then Coach Venables brings so much to the table, coming from Clemson, being in so many bowl games and national championships. He's got so much experience, and he's a guy you want to run through a brick wall for. So we can't wait to be there.
Now, it wasn't until this spring that your recruitment really began to take off as an offensive lineman. Oklahoma offered you on a visit in the mid-spring and ultimately ended up receiving an official visit, one of four that you took. Talk about your immediate impressions of Oklahoma the first time you visited and what stood out about the campus, the environment, et cetera.
When I first got there, me and my dad were blown away. Seeing all these schools, and you go to a school like Oklahoma, the rich history, so many NFL guys in their program in and out, and then being able to sit down with Coach Venables and get an offer leaving there I was shaking. It was such a surreal experience for me, and that means the world to me, honestly.
Now, talk about the official visit cycle. You took four in the month of June. You released a final four. You had Miami, Michigan, Iowa, and Oklahoma. Visited all four schools, and at the end of it, Oklahoma ends up being the pick. So what was it about that experience throughout the month of June as you visit each one of these campuses in sequence? What was it about Oklahoma, which was the first official visit destination for you, that made it so hard and ultimately impossible to top?
They do such a great job with recruiting, and I feel like I fit so well, one with the current players, and then two with the guys they're recruiting right now. Built a great relationship with Jackson Arnold and Josh Bates, and now Caden Green, and seeing how many guys, once again, Coach B puts in the NFL, and being able to connect with him through this recruiting process, it kind of just drove it home for me.
Now, in the final weeks of your recruitment leading up to the decision, it was pretty ostensibly a battle between Oklahoma and Iowa. And your quarterback at the Hun School up in New Jersey, Marco Linus, committed to Iowa to be their quarterback of the future. So with the Hawkeyes in the mix and with your teammate already headed there, was it tough to say no to the Hawkeyes?
Oh, absolutely. I have nothing but respect for the Hawkeyes and what they're doing right now. They're going to build a great class and be a very good team in the Big Ten in the coming years. So I'm so proud of Marco, what he's doing and what he's going to do. And I think Oklahoma's a fit for me.
Now, your relationship with Coach Bedenbaugh, as I said, all things considered, pretty recently has it really sparked up and caught fire to the point where you're comfortable making Oklahoma your home for the next several years. So Coach Bedenbaugh is obviously one of the most highly regarded offensive line coaches nationally, has a long and distinguished history of putting guys in the NFL. But is that something that you were aware of before you received the offer, or was it really not until you experienced Oklahoma and experienced Coach B that you began to realize, shoot, this guy knows what he's doing?
It was a little bit of both, because I didn't know him personally, or I hadn't done previous research on him, but I've seen all the offensive linemen that are in the NFL right now that are the best of the best, Trent Williams and Lane Johnson, recently Creed Humphrey, and those guys he didn't coach all of them, but he's been an impact on all their lives, and he's just one of the best I've known and I've seen. So
now you're pretty new to the offensive tackle position, having played some tight end, having played some defensive line in the past. What's been your experience just getting up to speed on the technique required to play that position? And how do you think Coach Bedenbaugh in particular can help you continue to develop to the point where you can be a Power 5 starter and an impact performer as an offensive lineman?
Well, I think my high school coach right now, Todd Smith, he does a fantastic job with offensive linemen. He's put a bunch of them into great schools in college and a couple to the NFL. And I think him handing me off to Coach Bedenbaugh, it'll be it's such a smoother transition than what I expected to be, just because they're both great offensive line coaches and they know exactly what they're doing with the guys like me. And I think it's going to be a great success.
Now, the size is one thing that jumps out about you. 6'7", 280 pounds on your 24/7 sports profile. So you have the physical tools that translate pretty naturally to the position of offensive tackle. What do you feel like your biggest asset is as a blocker, and how are you going to leverage that at the next level?
I think for starters, it's probably speed and then athleticism. Not playing offensive line yet. I still have a ton of things to work on, but once I feel like I get the fundamentals down, I think it'll be a little bit more smooth sailing than I'm hoping. So
Now, Coach Venables, obviously brand new to Oklahoma, at least as their head coach, spent a decade plus there as their defensive coordinator, and then obviously won a couple national titles at Clemson before returning to Norman, uh, getting set for his first campaign as a head coach and kind of marking the dawn of a new era of Oklahoma football. So what gets you excited about playing for him, and what's your experience of him been throughout the process?
he's not only a great coach, but he's an outstanding person, and all the things that he's bringing to Oklahoma with him. Talk about soul mission, something they're doing for the players, and kind of just gets them ready for life after football, because everyone knows you don't play the game forever. So at some point, you gotta find a job or get something else, and he's done an outstanding job with that and preparing the athletes for after football. And then, like I mentioned earlier, he's someone you want to run through a brick wall for. I met him for 40 minutes when I was there the first time, and it was an outstanding experience.
If you had to pick one thing, what do you think gets you most excited about being a Sooner?
That's really tough. There's a bunch of things I would pick. I think the fan base is probably one of them, and then just building team chemistry with the new guys that we're going to go in together and hopefully can win a national championship.
Now, you talked about the relationship with a few of your peers, most notably Jackson Arnold, Josh Bates, Caden Green, three guys who for some time have been doing quite a bit of peer recruiting behind the scenes for the Sooners. So how well have you bonded with those guys? And then now that you are committed and it's officially out there in the public eye, you're an Oklahoma Sooner, how are you going to contribute to the peer recruiting efforts alongside those three?
I'm going to try to be the best recruiter I can be alongside those guys and get a bunch of other guys there. And we know we're trying to get one of the best defenses along with the offense. And once you get those two combined and battling all the way in practice, and no one's going to be able to stop us.
Now, I always leave it at this, and I want this to be the final question that I throw at you as well. Goals for yourself as an individual as you look ahead to your collegiate career, and then also what do you want to accomplish as a team at Oklahoma?
Getting on the field as early as possible while being as prepared as possible to do the job is definitely one of them. And then the end goal has always been to make it to the NFL. And I think being here with Coach B and with Coach Venables and the rest of the staff that's a very accomplishable goal. It just depends on how bad I want it.
Logan Howland of the Hun School in Princeton, New Jersey, the newest commit for the Oklahoma Sooners in the class of 2023. Logan, very much appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much.